Today I will present the part 1 in HAB 5.11. So for the load calculation to commercial building, and again my colleague Brian, he will present the second part. As we all know, HAB, it's hourly analysis program, and HAB, it's a well-known program in the industry for over 30 years, and it's used by MEP engineers and designers for load calculations and energy analysis. HAB, it complies with ASHRAE 90.1 2013 software requirements, and with US federal regulations, and with ASHRAE standard 140 2007, and it's compatible to have lead rating systems version 4, and the reports of the HAB can be used for the lead rating. HAB, it's a computer tool which assists the engineer in designing the HVAC, and again, it can be estimated for loads for designing HVAC, and it can be simulating the energy and calculating energy costs. By the way, it can be calculating energy costs for both, even HVAC systems and then HVAC systems for entire building, like for elevators, for lightings, and pumps, and etc. And also, it can be compatible with the lead. We can just take the reports of the HAB. If you have a lead, hello? Sorry, just to remind you, can you mute yourself just to the other participant to hear my voice?
We can hear you. Yes.
Because I can see there is noise in background. Yeah. So HAB, it's a Windows software and can be downloaded and compatible with all modern PCs. Installation for the HAB. It can be generated automatically after you install the HAB file. Can be creates E20 II folder and subfolders. These can be automatically generated in your PC. And it can be like archives, code, project, temperatures, weathers file can be automatically generated in your system. To start HAB, from the start menu after installing the HAB, by the way, HAB, it's part of Carrier ECAT and E20 II programs. From that menu, you can find hourly analysis program, the HAB file 5.11. You can start the software. Usually, if you are downloading the HAB from the website, one thing is very important to make sure that you are installing HAB 5.11 International Edition, International version. There are some people they are installing from the HAB US website, and there is a version, it's called North America, and which we are providing you the key for the activation authorization key for that HAB. It cannot be compatible with that version. So if you have this an American version, please just remove it from your PC and install the international edition we can provide you this edition, by the way. First thing in the HAB, it's the preferences. You can just select the measurement units which you want to use in HAB, either English units or SI metric units. And we can just enter the details. In this one, operating mode, we can just click on this one if you are using the HAB for energy analysis feature. And we will have another session later on about the energy simulations and energy features. We can discuss this in another session, because today we are talking about only load estimation. These features about the lead rating and ventilations, but HAB, it's connected, as we saying in the beginning, with the ASHRAE standards for the ventilation and energy standards. If you want to keep it, we can just use as default, or if you have the specific requirements, you can just press on the based on whatever ASHRAE 2007 or ASHRAE 2013. Based on that, you can do your design for the HAB. If you are opening the project in the first time, I mean the software, there were no we have any projects previous. You can just click in the new if you consider you are still having new software there, and you can start this one. The main program window, it's how the software look like. This is the interface. There is title bar, which we can see the hub and the version. It's for example, this one it's for 4.5, but actually we are using 5.11 right now. And the mention of the project name in the title. Menu bar, we can see the project, edit, view, reports. And the Explorer grid, this is important because all the items of the project will be here, starting from the weather, space, system, plants, buildings. And by click for each item in left side, it can be open in details grid here, and this is the workstation which you can see. During selecting and design, there is a status bar. This is very important because some items you can see the minimum and the maximum values, date and time, and etc. The project, it contains data related to a specific job. So let's say the project, it's like a folder, and you can keep all details related to that project in the same folder. By default, automatically, the hub will save that project file in the E20 folder, project's name, or you can just specify a folder by yourself to save that folder. You can use also from the save to save as to your PC to use to open the project later, and or you can just change the location of the project with the embedded file to open it later. Okay. This is very important for archive and retrieve the hub. Hub file, if you can save it in your PC, and you want to send the file to to another engineer, contractor, consultants, it cannot be sent directly. First thing, you have to archive the folder which you have the project. By click on the project menu, you can just press on the archive, and then you can just select whatever you want to save that file to archive it, and then that file can be sent to another one. If you are receiver that file and you want to open it, again, you cannot open it directly. First, you have to retrieve the hub file. Okay, then you can be able to open and to save the project in your PC. The hub, if you have version 5.11, you can convert from old version to the new version. Like if someone sent you 3.2 version, by click on the convert hub, you can just select the file which you received, and it can be converted and to retrieve it in your hub 5.11. Here again, about the converting the hub data, we can just convert from old version to the new version. By the way, if you have like version 4.9 and someone sent you version 5.11, it cannot be open. You have to update your hub to 5.11, and a new version can open the old version like AutoCAD and the other Windows and Microsoft softwares. Here, we can see how we can just archive after we click the files or retrieve the files. If we want to convert it from old version, we can just select what's the version, if it's 4.3, 4.11, or the old file, we can just click on the project path and we can click on open, and it can be import. If you want to import project data, for example, you work for previous project and you just want to import like shadings, schedules, areas, or etc. You can just import from the library of that project to use in this project. Like as we can see here, this is all the project which we can import, even the schedules or whatever the doors, windows, or the weather details we can import from the previous project to select in this project. Import GPXML, we can convert, import the data from the Revit and AutoCAD. If we need to import the areas, by select the import GPXML, it can be compatible to import from the Revit and AutoCAD by select the file. And this is the summary for the spaces, which can mention the space name and the floor area and etc. Anytime if you need the help, you can just press F1 key, or from the menu you can just press on the help with the question mark. By the way, the help, it has all details about the hub, and anytime it can be useful for you to assist for this design. The program modeling. Hub, it's a modeling approach. You need to identify the elements like people, lights, walls, roofs, floors, etc. And each space contain of different elements. Like space, if I have a room, it consists of the people, who's the occupancies, lights, walls, external walls, roof, floors. And for the zone, it can be either one space or two spaces or more. We can just in the building, for example, if we have a building, we can say for each part, different offices or different rooms can be a zone. And the air system, which can be supplied the air conditioning to the zone, we can say this is the FCU or AHU. And the plant equipment can be like a chiller or a boiler. So in the building, if we need just to have energy simulation modeling, we can have the building to enter all the details for HVAC elements and systems, and then HVAC to have the energy simulation. And as I mentioned, this will be another part. The element is the smallest segment of the load. For each element, this is the smallest thing. It's the walls, roof, windows, doors. This considered as elements. And the space is the smallest area of the building that can be input. For example, if the room, it consists of different elements can be used as space. The zone, if we have one space or different spaces supplied to the same zones, and the air systems, we can just supply to the one zone or up to 100 zones. And the plants, which we can serve up to 2050 air handles. Buildings, it's a sum of all HVAC and non-HVAC system to estimate operating the costs. This one, again, it's related to the simulations of the energy. If we needed to calculate the building energy consumptions and the energy reports. Data limits for entities for Hub 5.11, we can enter for the same project up to 52,000 spaces. Zones can be up to 100, systems 5,500, plants 250, up to 100 building, and a limited for all elements, walls, roof, windows, doors, external shadings, and schedules. The weather data. The weather data, we can have both for design weather data. We need it for load estimation. It's like for 24 hours or we can have it for the round year to simulation data for the energy estimation. The weather data in Hub, we have like the source, it's from ASHRAE Handbook of the Fundamentals 2001, and there is more than 600 cities global. It's saved on Hub library for the weather data. To start your project, you have to identify where's the location of that project which you are doing the hub and the heat load calculations. From the weather wizard, you can just select the region and the location for the country and of the city. The setup menu of the weather, you can, after selecting the location, there is a program default which is based on ASHRAE fundamentals, which can see here the summer design temperature, the dry pulp temperature, and the summer consonant with pulp temperature. Here, if we are saying that we need to have a cooling load for cooling, we just need to input the summer, the winter, that if we need to calculate the heating load. Soil conductivity and the timing. Soil conductivity will be affected only if we are calculating for the heat load calculations. In terms of cooling load, that will not affect. Design calculations, it's starting from which month to which month. For example, if you want to just to have a heat load calculations for the peak time, let's say July and August, okay, you just to short your reports, you can just select this from July to August, but it's just recommended to have your calculation from January to December to have all months. Time zone, we mentioned here it's by default the time zone that will affect for the solar design and the solar radiation, so it can be automatically taken from the ASHRAE. So again, only here we have to input the design temperature, the dry pulp and wet pulp, and the others we can use as default from the software. The design temperature, we can see the month maximum and minimum dry pulp and wet pulp temperature. For Emirates, we can see the peak time will be on July and August. The maximum temperature in Fahrenheit will be 115, a minimum 97, and for the wet pulp 84.9, and minimum 81. Early details, we can see by each month and each hour the temperature here just for review to see the details of the simulation. The design of the solar here for the orientation of the building to identify which location of the building and which for the walls. This is important for the external walls for the north, east, west. As we can see here, for example, the solar heat gain for north will be like 38.2 BTU per hour. But for the east will be 219, almost 220. So it seems that if I'm selecting the location of the external wall wrong, that will affect because this east will be in the summer almost 5 times for the solar heat gain than the north direction. So it's very important to identify which the location of that, the external wall. Let's start for the demo of the software. This is the Hub 5.11 International Edition, as we mentioned. The preferences is the first thing can be open. If we need for leading rating system, can be select what's the version of the lead, or if it's not applicable, we can keep it as it is. And the ventilation standard, we can select what's the standard we would like to use in this system. either 2007 or up to 2016, or you can keep it also as it is. The currency, it's for the estimation, if you need it, or you can keep it. For the measurement of the units, you can select English or SI metric. By the way, during your design, anytime you can just go to the preferences to change the units, and that will not affect anything. They just can change from English to SI metric after even in the beginning or after you finish the heat load calculations. The operating mode, if you just want to have energy analysis, you can keep it on or you can leave it. By default, we are keeping it on. The program interface, again, here is mentioned the Hub 5.1, and the project name is still unnamed. This is the Explorer grid. We can see the weather and the spaces, systems, plant, etc. Here, for the help, view the help. Anytime you need any help, you just can click on it and entering spaces, for example, whatever you want, details, you can just find it from this menu. First thing, we have to intensify the weather. By double click on this weather properties, this will be open. We have to select the region of the project. It's in Middle East, and the country, United Arab Emirates. The location will be Dubai or Abu Dhabi. It depends where is your project located. We can see here, for example, the Dubai city, the summer design temperature dry bulb 41.7 and wet bulb temperature 23.9. And if we select Abu Dhabi, dry bulb will be 43.9 and wet bulb 23.3. And here it's showing what's the source of this data. It's from ASHRAE Handbook 2.2001. And these temperatures, you can change it based on any regulations you have. For example, if you are doing design for another country, how you can get these details, if it's not listed in the hub, but as we mentioned, more than 600 cities is mentioned. There is another website for ASHRAE. If you don't have the details and you want to use that one, it will be useful for you. This called ASHRAE-METEO.info. By click on the station, you will select Asia to select the country of your project. Any country you want, you have the project, you can select it, but let's see for the United Arab Emirates details. United Arab Emirates, we have different stations in Abu Dhabi, Al Ain, Dhafra, or in Dubai, Fujairah, Sharjah. Let's say Abu Dhabi International Airport. And here we can see the details of the annual cooling design temperatures, which we can use it. By the way, this one, it's for the year 2021. If you want to select for the previous year, you can see the data, but 2021 is the updated year. Here, as we can see, there is the cooling design temperature, dry bulb for Abu Dhabi, 45.1, and the wet bulb is 23. And there's three types, like 0.4%, 1%, 2%. What's this mean? This means 0.4% of the yearly time, the temperature will be for 45.1 degrees Celsius. It's mean in the year we have 8,700 something hours. 0.4% of that, it's mean, I think 35 hour only. The ambient temperature will be 45.1. This one, it's the peak time. I mean, the peak hours will have these temperatures. If you want to have like on 1% of that time, it will be 43, 30, almost 34 degrees Celsius. So here again, you can just select from the station. from anywhere in the world if your project located, and you can just take these details. And for the humidifications, you can take the temperatures for if you're doing selection for the fresh air. Going back to the software, so from here, from that data or any regulations, you can take the data to make and the input here. For example, let's do this 46 for Abu Dhabi and 29 for the wet bulb. We can see here for the maximum temperatures, it's changed for Abu Dhabi, dry bulb 46 and the wet bulb 29 for July and August. Solar radiation, here you can see the design daily, the maximum solar heat gains for the for the north, east, west, the orientation of the buildings can be a multiplier. If we have can say the solar heat gains cannot be affected, 100%, we need to increase it. The multiplier can be from 0.5. If the city, there is too much cloud or it's not clear, the weather in that city, we can just reduce it, or we can just keep it 100% to use as it. Simulation, we are not touching this one now because this one used for the simulation for the energy analysis. Elements. The elements, especially for the external walls, it consists of different layers. We have to identify each items in these walls to calculate the U values that will affect the cooling load, and if it's have insulations, without insulations, whole block, plasters, paint, whatever. These details can be taken from the architect's engineer to consider it in our design calculations. We have the project libraries. Before we starting for the spaces, we have to identify the schedules and walls, roofs, windows, up to shades. The wall. There is two types of wall, first of all, external wall and partition. Here we can see about the walls, the external walls which are exposed to the sun. From the wall properties, we can just select, there is many types of walls is ready in HAB, but if you have you cannot find the wall type, you can just name the external wall or whatever you want to name it, and we can just select the surface color if it's dark, light, or medium. That will change the absorbability or the solar. Here we can just enter the layers. We can have up to 10 layers for each wall. If we have it, the U to calculate overall U value. So if we don't know what's the items, elements mentioned, we can also, if we have the U values, we can enter it, or we can just make assumptions for each elements, for what's the thickness of that layer, the density, specific heat, and the area value. Then the system will calculate the U values overall for that particular wall. Roof, it's considered as external wall also. The same for the flat roof, for example, where enter the details of that roof to calculate the overall U value. Windows, for the windows, it have